And I'm a licensed private investigator in the state of Texas, and I go find people for a living. Zero risk for us. Really, we're buying equity immediately on the spot in exchange for a signature. I mean, I'll give you an example. In the past 70 days, we've gained about $700,000 in equity.
Even though you're not doing flips, these are pretty intensive deals, but they also pay well.
Yeah, they do. Our ROIs are anywhere from 400% to 2,500% based upon the number of heirs, the back taxes, and how much we pay for the deeds. There's $20 billion that's tied up in excess proceeds around the United States. Billion with a B. And ultimately, there's been known indications in and around the United States with Treasury and Treasury departments embezzling the money. And these slush funds are used to gain leverage. There's also people that have been prosecuted inside of these governments, treasurers of local governments.
Ryan, welcome to the Deal Machine podcast.
Thank you.
So we reached out. You've got a website that says We Buy Houses in Austin. You might have even come up when I searched Sell My House Fast Austin, Google, and we're both in Austin. So when I talked to you, you said you don't actually buy houses, right?
We do.
Okay.
We do multiple different things in a few different businesses that I own.
What are all the businesses?
Yeah.
Give us an overview of that.
Totally. So one of the businesses is obviously buying houses on the wholesale or even creative finance or seller financing.
Okay.
So that's the one business that we've owned for quite some time. It's done significantly well in all of Texas. The other business that we own has been in business for about 4 years, and it's called the Foreclosure Refund Experts.
Okay.
And we handle 35 different states in which I help people recover from mortgage foreclosure after the auction.
Okay.
And so when a house goes to sale after a foreclosure auction and it sells for more than what's left on the note or the mortgage, the homeowner or the next of kin is entitled to the difference.
Okay.
And so I hire an attorney's firm and an attorney that's paid on a contingency fee that represents the homeowner or the next of kin, and we do what we need to do to make sure that they get their money and or the kins get their money, and we unlock the property in the estate, and we provide them their money back in a timely manner.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then the third business that I am a part of and own, which kind of fits into Solid Offer Now, as well as the wholesale business. We've deviated it, but ultimately is when we look at property from a Texas intestate succession law place, what we've realized is that there's a lot of property that's sitting in Texas and a lot of other states, but specifically Texas, that when the people pass away, there's broken chains of title. There's missing heirs. There's properties that people and attorneys and title companies won't touch. And that's where I come in. And I'm a licensed private investigator in the state of Texas, and I go find people for a living, similar to the other business in the surplus funds industry. They kind of go hand in hand. Ultimately, one's after the sale, one's before the sale. One's mortgage and one's tax. And we buy deeds directly from the homeowners or the next of kins. And literally what we're doing is we're curing title, whether that's fractional interest or full ownership of the property, but we then move through the process to help them unlock the property so that they can sell or we can sell it with them.
Wow. All right. Can you just simplify? So do real estate investors hire you for that company where you cure title?
They have.
And that's that's who your client is, the real estate investor?
Somewhat. They do hire me, though I have my own arm of real estate that would enable me to do that type of transaction myself. Though I am hireable and I've been hired numerous times to help people find people. We do a great job of that. I do a great job of that in my research and putting together whimsical charts of these massive families that people just disappear off the planet and they can't sell these properties and your government ends up with them here.
It's your government too, though, right?
Sure.
All right. So you said Texas is a something state, right? So there's like a certain Texas law where it goes to the next of kin, or what was that you said?
Sure. When people pass away without a will in the state of Texas, we move to what they call intestate succession law. If the will is even not probated within a certain amount of time in the state of Texas, then we also move to that intestate succession law.
Intestate.
Yeah, intestate. So like when somebody passes away without a will, we move to percentage of property that is owned by their next of kins. However that would appear, whether it's community property or separate property, that would kind of define it on the deed, as well as some other things.
How do you buy a fractional ownership, and why do you do that?
Well, when you buy fractional ownership of property, then you're able to have a little bit of more control. You're replacing them, and if the property is in a tax foreclosure state, meaning it's coming up for sale in tax foreclosure, then we can go have conversations with the other family members if they're findable or not findable. And so we also see that a lot of liens and judgments also appear. Ultimately, if they do not sell their property, it will go to a tax foreclosure and more than likely end up with probably nothing or maybe
Okay.
some small amount.
All right. So let's say you're a wholesaler
Sure.
and you found this really great property on a prime corner of Austin, Texas.
Mm.
The property is like decrepit. Nobody's been living there for a long time, and the owner passed away.
Mm.
This could be a real situation where they might hire you to figure out how to get a hold of the next of kin. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, or I would find the property through DealMachine, right?
Right.
So we see it's in a tax default. We drive around. We've seen one of my uh, largest paychecks. Both of them actually came from DealMachine and knocking on doors. Ultimately,
Okay.
and so we believe that when people pass away, specifically without a will,
Yeah.
and there's fractional ownership in property, and people
Yeah.
go unfound, and we're seeing that more and more and more as baby boomers start to pass. And ultimately, when their children's children start to pass, and it becomes fractional ownership. And so once you have one, two owners, when people pass away without a will and they adopt, or when they have children and their children's pass away,
Yeah.
all those children become owners of these properties.
Yes.
And they don't even know it.
That's correct. Okay, perfect. So I'm trying to paint a picture of what the house is like that needs a title cured. So
Sure.
prime real estate, prime corner, you kind of scratch your head like, why would they just let this sit there? The value's gone up 2-3 times, and they're obviously not getting any money for this. The guy's dead, right?
Mhm.
So how long could it sit there with the guy deceased? Because you're saying by default in Texas, he's not answering his phone. You can't send him mail. But he had 3 kids, and one lives in North Carolina, whatever.
Great
They're all over the
example.
place, right? So you're saying, well, how long can it sit there with the kids owning it? I guess 1 year until the taxes are due, right?
No. We see property that sits for years that the counties in Texas do not go and foreclose on them. But the
Okay,
interest and the penalties consistently every single
got it.
month accumulate to a place where it's almost unreconcilable.
Why do they not foreclose on it right away when it's in better condition? Is that
There-
just a Texas thing? Is that just our law,
There's
or
so many, is one of my answers.
so many properties?
I would say.
Okay.
And I would say, like, you look at Travis County, especially on the east side, you can see tons of these properties that are in tax foreclosure. Some of them, even in some of these defunct churches, you'll see, which is a really great niche.
Right.
But some of these properties just sit and sit and sit for years, and have $70,000 back on tax bills, and nobody's even in the property, or maybe one of the family members is taking an income on one of the properties, which sometimes is likely. What we focus on is making sure that there's not an heir in the property, or that they're not part of the family. We don't want to really disrupt grandma. That's not where our goal is, right? Our goal is to have vacant property, or
Yeah.
that the actual heir is not an owner of the property, so there's no discrepancies.
So a way to identify these properties without driving around and looking for the rundown house in the corner is to look for the tax delinquent houses,
Vacant, tax
right?
delinquent.
Vacant and tax
I
delinquent.
would say those two models are great.
Okay. So you build a family tree of, like, just simply to find out who owns this by law. The name's not going to be on the county, right? Because you're saying the children, they don't even know they own it sometimes.
That's correct. There's so many of these that when a law firm gets a hold of some of these properties, their goal is to not necessarily find you like I'm trying to do. Their goal is to name people that they think are the heirs, and a lot of the times they're significantly wrong. And so I don't look to that to be their model. I look to make sure I go through and actually, from the very beginning, start with the model of who died, who were they married to, or who were they not married to, who were their parents, and then start from that place. Date of births, date of deaths,
Yep.
sons, daughters, etc.
Okay, let's say that it was like a guy who died and he didn't have a wife or kids, but his property's still sitting there. Um, can you do anything with that?
Sure.
Would you do?
There's always an heir. There's always some heir. So it's kind of like the sign of the cross.
Like maybe his sister or something.
Up for parents, down to the children, over to the siblings, and over to the nieces and nephews. And you kind of go in that model. That's kind of the way that I would teach it to somebody that might be less familiar with what we named as intestate succession law. And so what we're doing is we're going to probably then go talk to, in your example, the sister.
Got it. Okay. And so your conversation with them is like, did you know that your uncle, did you know you had an uncle named this guy?
Right.
Yeah, they may
Or
not
is this
even
your
know.
uncle?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Is this your uncle? Are you the right Jane Smith? Do you happen to know this person? And we start that process. Do you happen to know that it's coming up and is back on taxes? Do you know who's living in the property? Would be my first initial conversation.
And what's in it for them? I guess they are entitled to some money.
Sure. In your specific example, to be one owner,
Yeah.
that maybe they don't have $70,000 to pay on the taxes, and therefore they see that my offer or some sort of an offer would make sense.
Then you would give an offer to them.
Yeah,
Right, so
we would figure out a model to give an
Mhm.
offer. Like for instance, like I'm interested in giving cash on the spot in exchange for a deed signing, or ultimately we could co-sell it together, which might be in that particular case something they'd be interested in.
Mhm.
And so therefore, we would pay the taxes, or maybe not pay the taxes, but at the end of the proceed, then that tax money would come out. But we would figure out a process for helping them sell that property.
And before you go too deep down the rabbit hole, you'd run numbers just like you'd probably run numbers earlier in this process than you would just normal calling rundown homeowners, right? Because you want to see like, hey, if the property's worth $1 million, yes, and it's run down, so now it's worth $500,000, you could sell that or make an offer on that and pay off the $70,000 they owe on taxes. But if the property's worth $100,000 in perfect condition in Indiana in some neighborhood, and they owe $70,000 in taxes, and it needs a $100,000 renovation, there's just no way that deal's going to work or be worth your time, right? So, correct? Am I correct on that?
I'm looking at the assessed value and the land value, and also what's sold. For me, when we buy property of this capacity, we know that it's so hard to cure the title to actually sell it, that the deal is a little bit better. So there's messy title and it's chaotic. Most of the time, the families don't know about each other, and there's maybe they got divorced, and then there's another wife that was involved, and she had 3 children, and it just continues on. And so ultimately, we're able to do certain things like a creative deal, such as, hey, I'll give you a little bit of money now, and then I'll create a promissory note at the county clerks to pay you when we sell the property or when we get a title commitment. And so we're able to do certain things like that to keep them involved, so that it's a little bit more financially and fiduciarily responsible for them as well.
Hmm. But you would approach a deal like in Indiana where the ARV is 100,000 and they owe 70,000 in taxes, and it needs a full renovation. Like you could do something with that.
Indiana wouldn't be my specific market.
Yeah, I know, but just the numbers, those kind of numbers happen in Indiana more than they happen in Austin because it's just much higher priced real estate here.
Sure. I feel that there's quite a bit of back taxes in the state of Texas. Our property taxes are unrealistically high in comparison to your Indiana possible example. I don't know the tax bracket there, but one of the things that I know about is the property taxes here. And a lot of these people have no mortgages on their property that I speak of.
Yeah.
And
So every deal could work because they have a large amount of equity.
that's right.
Okay. Can you petition to have the taxes and penalties reduced? Have you ever done that?
Sure. That's an option.
Okay.
And also, most people have to pay to do that, and then therefore they're going through that process, and time is of the essence at times. So they're headed towards a judgment or a suit, and they're being involved in that suit, and they're actually being sued by the county. And so ultimately that looks a little messy for them, and they have to either figure out how to get an attorney quickly. They figure out who all the heirs are so they can actually then sell it. But ultimately, if they're going to pay the taxes, then you're still sitting on a property that's still unreconcilable and not sellable because you don't know where the other people are at. So there's a big risk there.
Okay. All right. So you build the family tree. I assume that the county would have had to do this internally as well if they're suing the nieces,
Yeah.
right? So they build it at the county level. They finally eventually get around to it.
Or not. They think they do. Like they kind of have an idea who those people are, and they might get the wrong Robbie Smith, right? And they might get the wrong person. They might think that they have the wrong person. Maybe it's a really interesting model that they're not naming these people in the petitions.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we come about. Ultimately, we're doing that the deep deep research. And a lot of these properties even has IRS liens, child support liens, abstract judgments, and we can buy liens as well.
Yeah.
We don't get into that too much in the moment, but ultimately, you can go talk to creditors that have liens on properties and buy those liens out for pennies on the dollar.
I have a fun question.
Sure.
What if you discover there was like an illegitimate child? Would they're unknown to their whole family, but if you're on Ancestry.com and you see the DNA match, because some people
All the
did
time.
a saliva test or whatever, and
All the time.
are they legitimate owner entitled to the house as well?
If they are a biological child of the decedent, absolutely.
Got it.
And we see that happen more and more and more now. Now that we're seeing a lot of marriages, and the numbers are up for marriages getting divorced, and
So
people
you're really uncovering. You're getting together the family that knows each other with somebody who doesn't.
children outside of the marriage is
Yeah. So you're
common.
introducing a lot of information.
Yeah. And so ultimately, they might own a lower percentage of the during that specific example, based upon them not being married or at the time of death, or
Right.
that they have a child outside of that marriage, et cetera. But ultimately, still to sell that house, that child outside of the marriage needs to sign the deed for that to get a title commitment. And so we're going to find that person.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they might not even know about it. This isn't just for residential property. This is for commercial. This is for massive plots of land with mineral rights underneath of it.
The only other person I know who does what sounds like you do is somebody who makes massive assignment fees or profits on their flips.
Yeah.
They take a long time. From what Carl is the other guest we've had on here who does this, it may take 2 years.
Yeah, Carl's a good friend.
You know Carl?
I do.
Okay.
Carl, one thing about the flip thing, I don't touch the product.
Yeah.
Meaning I don't touch the house. I'll do what I need to do to make sure that it can be ready to sell, and I'll put it on the MLS, or I'll sell it to somebody that I know that's a buyer in that specific area that wants to fix and flip it. But there's no construction cost for me. I don't want to come in. I'll clean it up, sure, but I'm not putting a new roof on it. I'm not going.
Why not?
I don't need the costs and want the costs. I'm not trying to get tied up into flips. For me, I'm in a project over here in Spicewood Springs Parkway, and that might be my forever home. It's kind of like your example earlier. It's actually on the corner lot, and we door knocked it, and it was a great experience. But the level of attention that it takes for me to go and pick out the floors, and it is second. I mean, it's a lot, and I'd rather be focused on other deals. Ultimately, we're not here to have that risk. Zero risk for us. Really, we're buying equity immediately on the spot in exchange for a signature. And I'll give you an example. In the past 70 days, we've gained about $700,000 in equity.
Okay.
And so that is the reason why we're not touching it. We're putting it on the MLS, and we're selling it within a 42-day is about the exit 42-day process. We're pricing it right.
So even though you're not doing flips, my point is still true, where these are pretty intensive like deals, but they also pay well.
They do.
Essentially.
Yeah, they do. Our ROIs are anywhere from 400% to 2,500% asymmetrical, based upon the number of heirs, the back taxes, and how much we pay for the deeds.
Okay, got it. So now that you've tracked down these people,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, did you know you own this house? And they're like, oh, no, I didn't. And you're like, well, in about a month, they're either going to foreclose on it or you'll get sued or something like that. Let me make an offer to you that will cover this, back taxes. And what do you say? Right. And then you just have to get all of them to sign, right?
No. I would get one of them to sign, and then I'd run to pay either the taxes, or I'd figure
only
out
one. You only need one, because now if you can fractionally own it, then you have control.
I have partial control.
Partial control.
Right.
And so are these people, is this like, I own like my first few rental properties. I had just quit my 9-to-5 job, so I couldn't qualify for the loan. I found a great deal, and my buddy qualified for the loan, put the mortgage in his name, and then we own the house, tenants in common. Is that kind of how you're fractionally owning something? It's just tenants in common, where y'all have equal ownership? Or is there a different way that you hold the title when you fractionally own something?
No. If you, me, and your brother all owned a property together, it'd be the same way. We'd all have to agree to put on a roof, and if we don't, then we'd have a different conversation.
Yes, but as far as like the ownership, are y'all making an LLC, or are you just putting your name on the title with theirs as tenants in common?
No. My deed would be inside of an LLC. Theirs would be, they would already own the property. And so when I purchased their deed, then it would go into my LLC, but they have their own ownership already.
Oh, so it's not multiple people on one deed? There's multiple deeds per person?
Every person is a deed when somebody passes.
So my property that I own with my friend Nick, my 5 properties that I own with Nick,
Correct.
is there we each have separate deeds for the same house?
You in your circumstance, you're not in a family. So
No.
so if you were, let's just say that your mom and dad, let's use your mom and dad and
They own a house together, yes.
yeah, and heaven forbid that mom and dad pass
Yes,
away.
I hope not.
And you have 3 brothers.
Yes.
And one of your brothers is in Arlington, Texas, and he's decided that he wants nothing to do with the other 2 brothers, and he passes away and has 3 other children. Right? In that example, how many people own the house now? 5.
Okay.
Right? And so
So
now
there's 5 deeds.
there's 5
Or
deeds.
there's not one deed with 5 names.
And your brother, in that example, he had 33 1/3%. So 33 1/3% divided by 3 is 16.667. Each one of those children owns 16.667.
Got it. Okay, and then the deed is like a separate document for each person?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Glad we got clear on that.
Yeah.
All right, so back to getting this done, you get fractional ownership, then you have controlling partial control.
Correct.
Then I'm sure you go after the other people.
We do.
Okay.
We go have a conversation and say, hey, we're here to figure out a process that would work for you and your family.
And you try to buy their fractional ownership.
No, I would ask for reimbursement on the taxes that I paid.
Oh. And then they couldn't do that? And if they can't do that, then you offer them to buy their other portion of the deed
That
to
would be
cover
right.
it.
That's right.
Got it.
I would ask them I would put a plan together that might involve a few different options. One of them would be paying their portion of the taxes or reimbursing me for the taxes that are paid.
And if they just say no, what happens?
We sit for a minute.
All right.
And we give some patience and some guidance.
Yeah.
We might send a letter or 2.
Yep.
And if that doesn't cure the issue, then we head down a different path, which would be litigation.
Got it. I'm assuming at some point before you get there, they come around to the idea.
When there isn't a path forward where they know of a known and money's really on the table for something that would be immediate, that seems to be a way for them to be a little bit more comfortable to move forward. The path that hasn't been dealt with in years, and all of a sudden now they want something to do with it, is odd. They don't really know about the property, essentially, sometimes. They don't know who's living in it, if anybody, or it's dilapidated, or as I mentioned, there's something wrong with the property. There might be heavy liens. They don't know how to cure those liens. And so all those things come into it. And remember, when we're partners, that means that we have to split all the costs equally. And so it doesn't just stop there, right?
I have a question on how much you offer for the first 16%, right? The first person you found who owns 16% that was willing to sell you their 16%, does that price you pay, does that end up having to be the same price you pay for the other people's 16% at all? Doesn't matter?
Not necessarily.
So would you overpay for that first 16% potentially?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or I put a promissory note on the other end to make it worth their time to hang around.
What does that mean?
That means that I would give them money now in exchange for their signatures. And that means that I would create a promissory note at the county clerk and a deed of trust that says that they get paid X amount of dollars at the end of the sale.
Okay. That's nice. So you don't have to put all the money up front.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
Yeah, I like creative finance. I feel like these models can help people that even need a little bit of cash now, but a little bit later, kind of keeps them involved. It allows them to feel more comfortable than just the immediate gratification, and gives them something to look forward to as well. So it's not necessarily,
and they could probably pressure their other family members. They're on your side, right? Because they want to see this good outcome, right? So they would definitely be in communication, trying to tell them to play nice.
And aside from that, like, they're not having to pay for any type of attorney costs. They're not having to pay for the taxes. Ultimately, like, there are certain models that we could put together. Like, how much can you pay on the taxes to contribute? Then that price would possibly go up.
Got it.
Right. And so there's different balances and options that we would talk them through and put a plan together, maybe 2 or 3 plans that would help them to kind of come to a conclusive decision on what best is for them in the moment.
I got it. Man, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
So the whole process may take a year?
My average exit is 91 days. I hesitate.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I hesitate because, like, I don't want to underestimate, but that's been the average. And I have some issues on certain ones that are not going to take 91 days.
Yep.
But I'm raising money today, and that's what I've been sharing with my investors is, we are looking to raise money in the capacity of having an exit in 91 days, but ultimately, I'm seeing them take a little bit longer than that. But that's been the frequency.
And the money is used to buy the first
The
part
money,
of the fractional ownership
Yeah,
and pay the taxes.
that's exactly right. And the
Right.
third thing, which is possible litigation.
Okay.
So the money's used for three things: you're buying deeds immediately, which is equity now. And you're paying the taxes, which is something that can gives you a little bit more control of the model. And so what we're doing is putting people into a trust. There's no deed of trust for our investors. Most people in a fix and flip world are used to first or second lien position at 10.99% and 2 points. Super cool, but we're not touching the property.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is we're putting that investor inside of a trust. They're a co-owner of the trust. They have to sign to sell when we do, and it's an LP waterfall type scenario.
So I can't imagine this happens too often, but what happens when the family member just pays you for their portion of the taxes?
That's great.
Does that happen?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It does happen?
Sure. When that happens, then they become a partner.
Yeah.
That's really what we're looking for. Like, can we get inside of a property for less money than and less exposure, right? And so ultimately, if you're going to pay a portion of the taxes and be a partner with us, that's exactly the first option that we desire.
But what if they don't want to sell it or something? Then I guess then they got to buy you out.
Well, I mean,
Otherwise, you both just sit there.
Well, then we start inheriting costs. Okay, so what shall we do, right? So we put it on a roof. Great. Then you own a roof part, and I own a roof part, and we have 50% on the roof. And then we head down the plumber route, right? And then we have this.
You would actually go. Have you gone down that way before? Because you hate putting on roofs,
right? But ultimately, like, I'm open to the idea of doing that if that makes sense for the transaction. Do I prefer that model? Absolutely. Do I prefer putting on a roof? No.
Yeah.
Do I prefer selling it on the market with that person rather than doing any construction work to the project and taking the risk? Because they don't want the risk either, right? They're coming out of pocket for something that they, once again, don't necessarily even know about in the beginning.
What if they just want to keep it? I guess they could pay you a reasonable price, right?
Sure.
That you would agree on.
There's litigation around reimbursement, right? And so we look at those types of scenarios, and when we use Texas law and to recover reimbursement cost, as well as to force sale if necessary. Partition claim suit would be one that most people are familiar with.
So somebody who's attempting this for the first time might be a little gun shy about, well, how's the litigation going to work? How much is a lawyer going to cost to pay to do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it a lot?
Yeah. Great question. For us, we find that we're looking for certain attorneys that have heavy understanding around this model, though we're teaching a lot of them too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're diving in deeper, similar to the surplus funds industry. I've had to teach many attorneys in and around the United States how to recover those. They don't understand it.
What is a surplus fund?
When a house goes to sale, sells from where it's owed on the mortgage, we recover
that. Was the first business you mentioned.
Same thing, right? We're teaching these attorneys things these little niches that they might not understand or know. And so it goes back. A lot of our attorneys are paid on contingency and they're put into the trust. So they want to not also go to litigation. And we structure it in ways that our attorneys can really have our best interest to not go through litigation to try to solve this problem. And so they're a vested interest.
So actually kind of curious on the first business.
Sure.
Maybe it's not as relevant to real estate investors, but I'm kind of curious. When the house sells at foreclosure for more than what was owed on the property, does the family member even know? Or you do your investigation on all the properties that sell every month to try to find if someone's entitled to that. And then you kind of contact them, and then you just get a portion of the fee you help them recover that would have otherwise not gone to them at all.
There's $20 billion that's tied up in excess proceeds around the United States. Billion with a B. And ultimately, there's been known indications around in and around the United States with Treasury and Treasury departments embezzling the money and using the money and tied to mutual funds to earn interest.
Okay.
And there's a reason why they do that. Obviously, it's to earn income, and it's a lot to actually give the money back.
Mm-hmm.
And these slush funds are used to gain leverage. And ultimately, there's other litigators out there that are noticing this. There's also people that have been prosecuted inside of these governments, treasurers of local governments. But they're not notifying them very well. And it's not top of mind to notify them to give them their money back. That costs money to go give them their money back. They're having to hire people like myself or people similar to myself to go do that type of exercise.
Got it. Now that brings me to the private investigator portion.
Mm.
I'm sure it was helpful for you because you're trying to track people down, but I can get in Deal Machine and like call these guys, or I can get on Ancestry and go like look up who they are and try to get their phone number as well. What does the private investigator license allow you to do
Mm.
that you couldn't do as like a regular person?
Mm.
Or just get hired for that service? Or
Sure, that's one area. But I mean, ultimately, as a consultant, you mean? Sure. Anywhere from license plate readers to getting really
oh,
great.
you have access to license plate readers?
I do.
Oh, that's pretty wild, actually,
Wild.
because they lock that data down.
Yeah.
That's not available.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we
It
have.
tells you who owns the car, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we have access to that allow us to. I mean, even some social security numbers, right? Using certain TLO applications allow you to unlock driver's license numbers as well as
Mm.
social security numbers and
Mm-hmm.
provide more relevant telephone numbers than some of the other skip tracing services.
Mm-hmm.
Those are being used by people that are our attorneys or have licenses and credentials to make sure that it's safe.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you're not abusing that information, right? All right, so it gives you a little bit more access to stuff.
Does. Those are some examples, right? We have the ability to do some social media stalking as well and use certain technology that enables us to kind of figure out who's who based upon IP addresses and some dark web stuff. But we're not trying to reveal all the secrets. But those are some of the things that would enable us to do that. But
Got it.
yeah.
So do you do that for your own purposes,
Absolutely.
or do you get hired?
Both.
Okay.
Meaning for my businesses, I definitely use it for my businesses, and I've gotten hired to help people find other people. And then ultimately, we take a small fee to help people cure the title and find the people and making sure that process is smooth.
Got it.
Yep.
Wow.
We like JVing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So an investor could contact you to help find what's going on with a house like that's run down on a really prime corner and the guy's probably dead.
All the time. We
Yeah.
get phone calls all the time with people that can't understand why title attorneys and title companies won't give them a title commitment, and also a lot of missing heirs. Some of them don't want to be found. Some of them change their names, and so they're not easily findable. Like, sure, people can go on Ancestry.com and try to dig in that capacity. It's more difficult than one might think. As when these trees starting to get expanded and people.
Oh, it's tedious. Yeah, it's just time consuming, I'm sure.
It is.
Yeah. And it's hard to, if you're a real estate investor, right? Either you're looking for your first deal or you're closing 10 deals a month. It just seems risky to start spending so much time on one deal, right?
Sure does. And I think that the amount of research that you put into these projects, I think has to come with some level of qualification. Meaning, before I go do all the things that we just talked about and pull out all the switches and tools to go find these people, let's make sure that, one, we have all the right people. One, let's also make sure that grandma's not in the house or somebody's not in the house that needs and wants to be there. And so let's make sure the transactional is a little bit smoother than these, some of the ones that are going to go file bankruptcy that are in mortgage foreclosure, right? And that'll drag the process on for 120 days on a motion to stay.
Why would it be drugged for 120 days?
Well, if you go file bankruptcy, right? This gives you.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're trying to avoid all those things, right? That we know
Then how do you tell if a person filed bankruptcy? I guess you'd look at the local court records.
That's living in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll let you know. I mean, I had a recent one here in Austin, a property that I own. We knocked on the door, and I owned it since November 4th, and I just got the property about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
The sheriff had to go give them a knock at the door and do a writ of possession. It was a hoarder house to the ceiling of things. I did 28 dumpsters full of things.
Oh, man.
He wanted to keep the house. He filed Chapter 7 on me, which, a little note for you is that when somebody files Chapter 7, all the assets are included, which means yachts, cars, airplanes, boats, mortgages are all accessible to the creditor. You can buy all those assets for pennies on the dollar.
Okay. Why would that be something important for me to know?
Sure. Well, in case anybody ever files Chapter 7 on you. I think when you go purchase a property and they have the idea that that's going to postpone some things from them leaving, that's kind of the model that people are using today. A lot of the gurus are teaching go file bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure.
Gurus for people in foreclosure.
Sure. There's gurus that teach go tell them to go down to the federal courthouse building, file bankruptcy. And so there's this thing going on that does stop a foreclosure sale. Sure. And
for 120 days.
For 120 days.
but it does make accessible. Well, I don't have a mortgage. I don't issue mortgages, but you're saying for the mortgage person
I'm
or
saying that a property that's in a mortgage foreclosure,
yes.
I'm saying that if that person were to go and do that behavior of going and doing a bad faith filing just to stop their foreclosure sale,
Mhm.
I'm saying that would give them bandwidth to figure some things out. And also that can happen after you purchase the property, right? They can file bankruptcy. Then they can, that in Texas, that person doesn't have to move until they're heard, that bankruptcy and that eviction hearing is heard.
Mm.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of loopholes there that the tenant at sufferance after you purchase the property then can use to their benefit, which is a little snaky, but that's what currently happened in my situation.
Mm.
Yeah.
Got it.
He just didn't want to leave.
You can't evict somebody that has filed bankruptcy
Correct.
until a certain amount of time.
Until the motion to stay is lifted.
So, with access to all these special tools, why do you still use DealMachine?
I like driving around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, my lady and I drive around. We go on really nice road trips in and around multiple counties here. And we click on properties and we sometimes walk right up to them. We see who's there. We see what's going on with them. We feel that one of the biggest indicators is what does that property look like? And one of the also indicators, how many have the trash cans moved out of the front of the yard of the garage that opens,
Mhm.
right? How much stuff is hanging over the house of all there's foliage over the roof? What does that look like, right?
Mhm.
And we've definitely got ourselves a lot of property by just knocking on the door. I mean, I had one here in Austin. This lady had 16 huskies.
Oh my gosh.
And she had 16 huskies in this property, but she was also a hoarder. We seem to get those properties, but
Mhm.
ultimately how we figured that property out was we had to put a plan in place and methodically and emotionally connect with her in the way that said, "Hey, let's help you replace these dogs with somebody safe." And so we did that. But ultimately we door knocked that using DealMachine. And matter of fact, that specific property, the one that was across the street from that property, we DealMachine that one too, and we wholesaled that property as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. So you brought us like literally a few deals here in Austin, but specifically one next door to each other. We're like, what does that thing
Yeah.
look like? It's horrible looking.
Yeah.
But we feel that driving around looking for property using DealMachine, and it can show us which routes we've taken as well and not taken. And so we try to take different routes. If you guys have used DealMachine before, you can see it takes the purple route and tells you where to go. And ultimately, we try not to take the same route, so we're hitting different neighborhoods.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, there's nothing better than seeing the property yourself.
That's right.
Not only from getting, familiar with the areas and the pockets that change in, small amounts of space, but also it's the most up-to-date way for you to figure out what's going on with the property. I'll give you an example. So I did a deal right next door to each other as well,
Mm.
and the first one had the gutter falling off.
Mm-hmm.
But then while I was working on that deal, I noticed a tree fell on the house 2 doors down, and it was weird that 3 days went by and nobody had cleaned up the tree.
Mm.
So, the tree never got cleaned up because the person living there was, like, helping her daughter who just had a new baby
Mm.
2 hours away, and so that's why, driving, it allows you to open up and see those types of things. But even though, I mean, we've added a couple things, like there's a filter of building condition, which comes from the assessor every year. So you could try that. And there's also an AI that looks at the Google image, but that's updated about once a year, right? So even though technology has made that a little bit more scalable, you still miss on like the real recent things that happen that
Sure.
can be pretty great opportunities, like the trash cans, for example,
Yeah.
or the tree, right?
Yep.
If that's not going to show up on the Google image for a year,
Right.
So
I mean, cars in the front yard jacked up. The other guy that I was telling you about, he had like 18 vehicles in his front yard, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's kind of like odd and they're all not working, right? And there's an issue going on there. There's some sort of an issue. And,
yeah,
ultimately, one thing that I say is relevant, I built some really large call centers in my life. I work for,
oh really?
yeah, I work for some, we won't name them. I work for some large cloud-based contact center softwares. And I built like, you know, unknown names that you got. I mean, very well-known names that I won't name in the moment, but the ability to make phone calls and the ability to text message and send emails has highly gotten restricted by the FTC, as well as Twilio, and as well as A2P registration, all these things, that NDLC, all these things that are restricting not just investors, but from people communicating with one another, not just face to face. And so we've gotten to a place where I feel like we've gotten to a place, my money has shown that we've gotten to a place where ultimately getting in front of people and doing that type of communication, there's nothing like it. And I still go back to door knocking. I still go back to when I want a deal quick, I'll go door knock and I'll go drive around for a weekend and I'll have one probably in a week and a half. And ultimately, like you can text all you want. You can put a dialer in place, which I've done numerous times, and I still have one that does 13 line dials. And we're doing like 2,000 calls a day on some level, but there's still not a level of personality that comes across in face to face and the emotion. And sitting in somebody's living room, why that might be uncomfortable at times, or maybe even you can't even get into the house, like a few hoarder situations I've had. But ultimately, that connection and even the ability to have that connection is different from the guy that's calling from Idaho.
Well, where could people find you to hire you as a private investigator?
Yep, sure. You can call my cell phone. You can call me at 512-599-7576. I own foreclosurerefundexperts.com. I also own solidoffernow.com. Those are a couple of my businesses.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of as we wrap up, is there anything you'd really like to leave people with?
Thanks for asking. If there's a way for me to help you in your life to make more money or to help other people with regards to people that pass away, it would be an honor to help in JVing with you. You can reach out to me. I'll teach in exchange for, just a little bit of communication. I'm not here to earn money off of you necessarily, but I'm here to help support the organization from a place, the real estate organization, from a place of certainty, from a place of really understanding how to do good, clean transactions that benefit all. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You've got the man's cell phone.
Yeah.
And I personally enjoyed that episode. I've heard Carl speak many times, but it made sense hearing it a third time.
Sure.
And hearing your perspective on it as well, which is different than Carl's model, right?
Yep.
He's flipping homes. You're just focusing on the equity that you can gain through that process. So I personally really enjoyed it. And thank you for the time.
Cool, man. Can we take me to Coda now?
Yeah. We can go sort of the Americas for sure.
Cool, man.
I'm actually heading out to New York later today to go to Watkins Glen, which is where they used to have F1 races.
Yeah.
It doesn't meet the current safety standards for F1 anymore, but it's a really famous track and it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to go back for my second year.
Have you seen the F1 movie?
Yes, I saw it a week ago.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. It was a great movie.
Yeah, I liked it too. I think that they try to get the Days of Thunder thing going on there with the woman that has a little bit more of an accent than Nicole, but ultimately I think it was filmed well. I think it resembles F1 well. Yeah, it's a pretty cool sport.
I agree.
Yeah, man.
It got me pumped up.
Yeah, I bet.
And we can go to Coda or Harris Hill Raceway is a local track that's definitely easier for us to get on and go do something.
Take me for a ride, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah, me too.
I have a race coming up. We take 2 months off in the summer, though, there. Huh. So you should come out on a Saturday for that race, which will start back up in September.
Oh, I'd be thrilled.
And we could do it after the race.
I love that. My buddy actually won the Baja a few times.
Wow.
Yeah, on a dirt bike, a 250, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Did he give you a ride?
No.
Harder on a bike.
Harder on a bike.
Yeah.
I would trust him though. Yeah. But I've been on a bike with him. That's thrilling and a little uneasy at the same time. But he's a heck of a driver. Yeah, I think that hanging out with you and being a passenger is probably best for me.
Sounds good. See you in September.
I look forward to it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Machine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.